Hey guys, it's Layla from Ignite, and in today's video I'm going to take you through one of the sample questions that was released on the NESA paper, which you can access through the link below. And the reason I've done this is because quite a few students have had a little bit of confusion as to how to respond to 4-mark questions, because that length is a little bit different to what you've had in previous years with comprehension. And also just to give a bit of guidance on how to unpack human experience concepts with relation to the texts that have been released. So this is one of the questions from that sample paper. If we're in the exam and you're doing your reading time, of course you would start off by reading this question before looking at the text. So the way that I unpack this with you will really mimic what you would do in the exam. So exam situation, let's read the question. Using text 1, compare how each of the two posters creates a sense of shared human experience. So we've looked at the question, we know, okay, our concept that we're addressing here is shared human experience, and we're dealing with posters, we're dealing with visual texts. So if I'm looking at the text in the exam, I've got the question at the forefront of my mind, and I'm thinking about unpacking visuals. To unpack visuals, I like to give students this acronym SSP because it gives you some key formal features of visuals that will help you draw out how these texts have been constructed and give you techniques. So S stands for salient, and that's asking us, okay, where are our eyes drawn in the image and why are we drawn there? The second S is for symbolic. What kind of symbolic meanings can we construe from the way these texts have been put together? And thirdly, perspective. What kind of perspective is being conveyed through the position of the person either constructing the image, or if any particular focal points are elevated in the text, what kind of perspective are we being asked to empathize with when we enter the frame of the image? So looking at these texts, and if in the exam you're just kind of quickly getting through some ideas, if we look at the one on the left, we've got a composition here where we've got multiple individuals that are proximally placed together and they've been characterized with different racial signifiers. You've got some light-skinned people, some darker-skinned people, and they look different, and yet they're all placed together in this communal environment. So composition, we've said one technique, characterization of the key characters, they look different, but because of that composition, they're proximal to one another and they're sharing some kind of human experience. If we kind of contextualize what's going on, we look at the title here, it says here, okay, in the dark, we're sharing stories. So these are people who are perhaps audience members. Regardless of their backgrounds, they're kind of sharing this human experience. So there's some key buzzwords there. If we contrast, because the question is asking us to compare, so we're drawing on some similarities or some distinguishing features, and at this point we're thinking, okay, they're probably going to be similar with regards to the human experience aspects they're conveying, but they're probably different in the way that they're conveying this because they are different images, right? So to contrast this image, we can see, as opposed to giving us multiple individuals placed together, there's rather a universal representation of one individual here, and it's focusing on the mind. So I guess what's salient is the individual that's portrayed. If we look at this image, we don't know whether they're male or female, and I think race is irrelevant. So there's this kind of universal mind that is portrayed, and the symbolic unpacking of the internal workings of the mind are conveyed as not specific to an individual, but rather relevant to all. So I guess if we're tying together the two images under pressure exam situation, okay, both are explaining something shared. The first one is despite cultural backgrounds, they're sharing a universal experience as an audience member. And I guess the second one, we've got an individual, internal working of the mind, mental health is shown to be relevant to any individual regardless of race or gender, I guess. So that's my little mental planning in the exam. I'm informed by the question. I've got some kind of guides, the SSP when I'm accessing visual text, and I've done a bit of brainstorming on the ideas conveyed. So let's have a look at how this would sound in an exemplar response. So what I've done here is I've typed up my handwritten response, and I actually did answer this to time. So it took me, was 4 marks. It was about 6-ish minutes, and that was quite fast. I think you could give yourself 7 to 8 minutes to answer that question because it is about 1/5 of your time. And what I've done here is I've put in green my links back to the question to show you how frequently you want to be linking back to the question in your response. And in yellow, what I've done is I've shown you how I've brought in my evidence. Now, this is a key point. Students, when they're accessing visual texts, find it hard to quote from the text, so to speak, because unlike written text, you're not just taking out the quote and putting it into your quote technique effect sequence. So take a look at how I've described and I've pinpointed the part of the visual, and then I've brought that into my analysis. Okay, so let's have a read through, and it's 130 words. That's what I was able to come up with in about 6 to 7 minutes. While both visuals convey human experience as inherent to individual existence, each adopts converse techniques to portray this shared sentiment. So notice how the question is asking me about shared human experience. I've spoken about human experience as inherent to individual existence. I haven't just restated the wording of the question. I've tried to unpack it in a way that shows that I understand shared human experience means that our experiences of the world are common to our existence as humans, right? So that's been framed in the topic sentence. And then I start analyzing my first visual. The composition, my technique, of the film festival poster features multiple individuals characterized as embodying different races yet physically connected by their position as audience members. So notice how pinpointing the evidence here in yellow, I've described the evidence while bringing in my actual technique. And I've linked to the question at the end of my analysis there. The interconnectedness of each individual symbolizes that despite physical difference, all are connected, as the subtext suggests, the title of the poster, by shared stories. So my second bit of evidence using the technique of symbolizers also pinpoints the evidence from the visual while linking it back to the question. Conversely, so now I'm comparing my second visual, the salient image of the Real Minds poster presents an ungendered profile, so the image of the individual is universal, suggesting the shared function of the human mind, irrespective of social, cultural, or racial difference. So again, I've kind of tied it back to the first image that despite them portraying these ideas in different ways, they are comparable in the kinds of ideas they are conveying, and that's how I've linked it back to the question. The figurative unpacking of the mind in the image conveys that regardless of individual thoughts, mental health is a universal concern. So again, looking at different ways to frame shared human experience without just repeating the words of the question to show that I actually understand what the question is asking of me. Thus, both images portray shared elements of human experience in different contexts through diverse visual techniques. So when we look at the response, the topic sentence, the concluding sentence is directly linking back to the question. I've given 4 key techniques. I thought 4 marks, 4 techniques should guarantee a full mark there. And with every bit of technique and analysis, I've come back to the wording of the question to have a really sustained response. Now, I know that looks like a lot of text there, and it is 130 words. What I've done on the next slide here is I've actually pictured for you what that looked like handwritten to give you an idea. So it was just more than half a page of handwriting, and that was 130 words. So for something worth 4 marks, I gave 4 bits of evidence. It was no more than 8 minutes of writing, and I think it actually took me about 6.5 to 7 minutes. And it was roughly 130 words, which in my writing style looks like just more than half a page. And I did that just to show you, okay, roughly visually, what does that look like in the exam, to give you that comfort when you're doing your responses. You know, if you're asking yourself, am I writing enough? Is this what is worth 4 marks? That should hopefully help you there. So I hope you guys found that useful. I know the sample paper is different to previous papers, so this exemplar response and talking you through it will give you that guidance when you're doing more exam prep. Please do leave comments if you have any questions about the video, and I'd be happy to answer them for you. And do like and subscribe to our channel. But for now, guys, I just thank you so much for watching. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do like the content, subscribe to our channel and we'll have more videos coming your way.
That's right, guys. Thanks for watching. And please make sure you check out our online resource database. We've had a team of state rank achievers and heads of English put these together for you, covering everything from essay structures and examples all the way through to craft of writing and comprehension skills. So check them out at ignitehse.com.au, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.